Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Food, Wine, and Whiskey in Your Own Backyard. I am Rob, your host, and as always, Carter here. How you doing, Carter?
I am doing great, man. Got a little whiskey in the glass.
A little whiskey's a good way to start a show.
Absolutely.
And we have a fantastic guest today. I'm really excited to have this gentleman on and get to talk a little bit about food, wine, and some whiskey as well.
Yeah, definitely. We've got Mr. Celebrity Chef Chris Shepard here.
Definitely in Houston, very well known, done some great things for the city. Obviously, James Beard award-winning chef, on-top chef. I mean, so many accolades, Chris. I can't name them all, just like your restaurants. I can't name them all. But welcome to the show, man. We appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me, for sure. Absolutely.
So the first thing I want to talk about is what you do in the community. You do a lot of good things for our community, but one of the really big things that shine is your charity, which is Southern Smoke. So Can we start off by talking about that a little bit?
So Southern Smoke was something that my wife and I founded in 2015, which was at the beginning of time. Beginning at that time was for a MS fundraiser. One of our dear friends came to me and asked if we could do a dinner to raise money. I said, "Well, for what?" I said, "Well, I was diagnosed with MS this week, and I want to kind of be the poster child. I want people to know. I want people to ask." And I said at that point, I was like, dinner kind of, no. It doesn't really work, but let's talk about how do we create something bigger. And so we ended up throwing a festival year one, and the goal was I wanted to raise $100,000, and everybody said, please don't say that, because we're going to fall flat on our face, because, you don't know what you're doing. And we actually, at the end of the festival, wrote a check for $181,000. And then year two, we brought some more chefs in from around the country and raised $284. And then 2017, Harvey came through. And I think we all kind of remember what that was like for those of you that were in this city. Right?
Absolutely.
And there wasn't a way for dishwashers, drive-through workers, fast food employees, farmers, bussers, cooks, waiters, delivery drivers. There was no way for money to actually get in their hands. And I had friends around the country calling me and be like, how do I put money in their hands? I was like, I have no idea, Doesn't really work that way. And so we made the decision to, we started looking at it and it was like, we can follow a formula where we can take in applications, go through a verifying committee, and then go into an awards committee. And so we had more chefs showing up for the festival because we were about 2 months out from year three, and we decided not to do for MS, but to take care of the hospitality industry. And we took in 230 applications, but we were able to grant 139 families $500,000.
Oh wow,
that's incredible.
So at that point, it really became a disaster relief, a crisis relief, a medical relief, in any kind of crisis in the hospitality industry. We wanted to be able to take care of, and it turned into a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week foundation, where at any given moment, whenever somebody comes into a crisis, we can be there for them. And 2020 rolls around, we have one employee. We hired our second one at the beginning of February, just because it was like, we're getting like 6 or 7 applications a week or a month. We need to start really kind of focusing on this. And then that little pandemic thing happened.
What was that?
Yeah.
Barely remember it.
Yeah. And then we went to 40 employees really quickly, folks that have been laid off in the hospitality industry. And I always go back to that 230 applications because at the end of May, we were well over 35,000 applications nationwide. Wow. And so
this is nationwide.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
It is at this point.
It's expanded from, over the past few years for sure.
Yeah. And, in 2020, it was something that we had been working on but came to fruition in July of 2020, that we can provide free mental health care to anybody in the hospitality industry in the state of Texas and their children. And now in the next month, we will be in Texas, Louisiana, Illinois, Pennsylvania, and California.
Wow.
With that program, and the goal is by 2028 that we will be nationwide in all 50 states.
And this is getting partners in these fields to partner with the foundation?
Yes.
That's awesome. Good
And
for
so,
them.
Such an area of need, too.
yeah, and not that I really love saying this, but it's a number for sure. But at the end of this, let's see, probably July, we'll be at $10 million in grants.
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
That's huge.
yeah.
It says a lot about the community supporting you all and what you're trying to do as well. So that's really cool.
'Cause the hospitality industry doesn't have a safety net.
Sure.
So, we need to figure out how that actually comes to fruition. So, because the day I'll be the proudest is the day that we're not needed.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you're a much-needed Band-Aid.
Yeah,
right now.
I think we're going to be that way for quite some time.
So the event, you're still doing the event annually.
Yeah, that's going to be in October this year.
Okay.
October 21st through the 23rd. I was talking to my wife about all the chefs that I wanted to ask, and kind of we'll narrow it down. And her and Victoria just kind of emailed everybody, and everybody said yes. So
Go figure.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Moral of the story: don't tell me to do something you don't want me to do.
yeah. And so I looked at Lindsay and I was like, we can't do it just one day like this. It's too many people. So we ended up adding some local chefs and rounding it out really nicely, and we're going to do a 3-day festival.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
3 different style of events, 3 different sizes of events, and 3 different locations. So
That'll be cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I remember hearing how you kind of grew it, and you went from thinking it was going to be this smaller event, and then it kind of just quickly bloomed to a 1,500, 2,000 person event, and now it's just continuing to. That's great.
That first thing I thought was going to be a 200 person party in the backyard, and then it turned into 1,000 or 1,500 people, and that was year 1, and then year 2 grew, year 3 grew, and now it's like the Friday event will be 1,000, the Saturday event will be like 150, and then the Sunday event's like 4,000 people.
So if people want to participate in this, are tickets going on sale already? Or?
They have not yet, but they will shortly. We've got a big rebrand on the logo and the foundation website coming up, and so I think it's in a couple weeks.
And the website is?
southernsmoke.org.
southernsmoke.org. And
cool.
There'll be something, I'm assuming, on the 3rd page that'll kind of blast out when they're ready to start.
Yeah, it's going to be everywhere pretty soon. So.
And I'm assuming you'll release pretty soon kind of what the 3 nights are going to be so people can kind of decide which one, maybe all 3 they want to go to.
I mean, all 3 are completely different, so I think it's going to be kind of, and 3 different price points, and so it'll be a lot of fun.
Sweet. Yeah, I've never gone, so I need to check it out for sure.
It's a really good, feel-good event.
Awesome.
Because a lot of times you get to these festivals and you're like, why am I really here?
Right, right.
Like, I'm just standing in line, for what?
Yeah.
What wine is this again? You're like, this is disgusting. And so since we've always been, the person that we started this foundation for, Antonio, was a somm, and is still. But wine was a very important aspect to the festival, and so we wanted to make sure that.
This isn't Antonio.
Ginola?
Yeah, from Wine Merchant?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
this
was started for him.
Okay. I did not know that.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a fantastic guy. I love buying wine from him.
Yeah, I love that store.
Yeah. Italy's his jam.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So we worked together back in the day at Catalan.
Okay.
And so that's kind of how it all started.
Okay.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, what a great thing, man. I'm glad we got the chance to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, he's a good human being.
So you, coming to Houston, you came here for culinary school, if I understand kind of your background a little bit. You come from Oklahoma.
Yep.
Midwest guy like me. I grew up just eating meat and potatoes, corn,
Same.
I was probably one of the pickiest eaters, my wife will tell you. Until
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I was too.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I still am, in a way.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay, I was
Only
going to
good
ask you
food?
about that because
There's a lot of things that I just won't touch. So.
Okay.
what got you to make the decision culinary school? Because me coming back at an early age, it was like I would have never thought that I would be into food now like I am at an early age like you were. So was it cooking with grandma, cooking with mom? Was it something that triggered
Mom, you know what? I just liked it, and I might be one of the only people that's ever been kicked out of Tulsa Junior College. So, I mean, like, literally, they're like, just save your money, man. Just stop coming.
that? Yeah.
like you've paid for like 4 semesters and you've showed up to like 2 classes. Like, what are you doing? Like,
It's not.
an idea, it's a good thing. Like I could go to school if I wanted to, but it never entertained me at all. So I took a job as a dishwasher in a sushi bar.
I remember reading that. That's really cool. And so, from that experience, from being a dishwasher, you're like, this is my career path.
Yeah, I mean, and I got to peel shrimp and clean eel pots, and like, I don't know, I just fell in love with it, and it was one of those things. It was at that time, learning how to cook and wanting to do more, and my boss is like, man, this is like 1993 at a sushi bar in Tulsa.
They exist.
They don't, but
not many of them at that time.
It was, I didn't take it the wrong way. I understood what he was saying, but it was like I wasn't the guy that when people walked in that was going to be working behind the sushi bar.
Yeah.
Be like, "What's up?" Oh God, this isn't real. They needed to see Nobu. They needed to see my boss, and so he's like, "Man, you need to go to culinary school." And I was like, "What is that?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, "It's where they teach you how to cook." And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And so my parents had already lived down here, so I decided to move down here and, live with them and go to school and work as much as possible.
So is that where the interest in Asian food kind of started with
The
sushi?
city. Well,
Just
yeah,
the city?
that.
Okay.
I mean, but yes, but I think that, Japanese technique is very formal and precise and loving and caring and nurturing and honorable. And I think that, when I moved down here, I was like, what is fish sauce?
Besides delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I started to learn that,
Yeah.
and that was another passion. It was like something that I didn't know. And so, and I just learned it from sitting down and talking to people and eating the food and learning from cultures that I never got the opportunity to learn from because it was like a clean slate for me.
Yeah. So the process. Just a quick aside. Fish sauce. Have you seen the process of making it?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, I went out to Vietnam in 2016, 15, 16. My wife is amazing. I was like, I want to go see how fish sauce is made. And she was like, what the what? And she's like, all right, let's go. But we're not just going to do that. And I was like, heard. But like, going out to Phu Quoc Island off the southeast or southwest coast of Vietnam, like, that's it. That's all they do. Like, they're harvesting fish, they're salting fish, they're putting it in tanks. And, when you start to look at fish sauce and how it is made, and, the fermentation starts as soon as the fish are on there. But a lot of places, and that's what, it's why I always say, like, check the ingredient label. Just look at the ingredients. It should say anchovies and salt.
That's it.
And that's it, right? If it says a bunch of stuff you don't know what it is, it's the same thing. Like, would you put that in your whiskey?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you
I
wouldn't
agree with
drink
you.
that
Wouldn't,
stuff,
no.
right? You
I
wouldn't
mean, we
drink
get
that
pissed
stuff.
off when it's chill filtered.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. Like, you gotta look at what's in there. And so, if it's just fish and salt, like, head on, man, get it.
Yeah.
But if it's like everything else, take a right turn.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So obviously you like all foods. I mean, there's not a.
I mean, there's a lot
for the most part.
Yeah.
For the
I
most
mean, there's a
part.
lot of controversial things that I won't eat. So
Well, you bring that up. Let's touch on a few of those. What would those be?
I think the avocado is the devil's fruit.
Really?
It's just disgusting.
Really?
Just
In
disgusting.
any form, guacamole or anything.
Here's the argument.
Okay.
Very few people, right? Everybody's very passionate about the avocado, right?
Yeah,
but if I
especially in
said
Texas,
that,
California.
but if I said I don't like a carrot, people are like, that's cool.
Yeah.
But avocado is like a sticking point for people. I think it's more of the argumentative side of me that likes to just get
Ah.
into other people. Because my point is you don't actually like the avocado. You like the stuff that it carries as a vehicle for. Right? You like guacamole? Okay, you like lime, you like salt, you like chilies, you like tomato, you like everything else that's involved. You like the chips, you like the aspect of it. It just becomes the vehicle. But would you take a chip and then just scoop into an avocado and put it in your mouth? It wouldn't be as pleasurable
Totally
or
agree.
as delicious
No.
without the other things. So in essence, you could just do that with butter.
Don't argue that point, but I think.
Avocado on a turkey sandwich is disgusting.
Do you really? Okay, that was what I was going to get
It's
to.
horrible.
Avocado on my scrambled eggs.
It's just
I
mush
like
on
it.
mush.
Okay. So, but you don't feel that way about a tomato.
No.
Okay, that's interesting.
So-
I'm kind of more in shock because I would have never thought avocado would have been something that you would have said.
Avocados.
Just
Devil's fruit.
Yes, it does. The green bell pepper is the only thing that you can physically taste the color.
Yes, and I don't particularly.
You
like
could bite
green
into
bell
a green
peppers.
bell pepper and be like, "Psst, yep, that's green.
Yep.
Like, you know that in your head it's green. And so I don't think, outside of a couple of things, stuffings, but celery is really more of an onion and celery, like the Trinity in Creole cuisine and Cajun cuisine when you're talking about onions, bell peppers, and celery. I think the bell pepper is just kind of like, use a poblano.
Yeah,
right?
you could do away with it.
Give me some heat, give me some different flavors. It's just a lackadaisical.
So you prefer the Italian with the onion, carrot, and celery?
Depends on what I'm making.
Okay.
Right? Like, I wouldn't use that if I was making, like, crab meat stuffing.
Sure.
Right? But I would probably go onion, celery, and jalapeno
Absolutely.
before I would bell pepper.
Okay.
Because, I mean, at this point in life, jalapenos kind of suck, too.
I don't argue that point.
Right? There's a lot of, like, fake jalapenos out there where they're just like, they look like a jalapeno, they smell like a jalapeno, but they definitely don't taste like one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't argue that point.
And so, I mean, at that point, if I want the heat, I'm going, Serrano. But the bell pepper is probably at the very back of the bus. Like,
I'd much rather have a poblano pepper than a bell pepper
Yeah.
any day.
Oh, yeah.
all right, you more flavor, more bite, more structure,
yeah.
more everything. If you just want the color, shit, there you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that makes me ask the question, what's 2 or 3 that you think people are missing the boat on that don't eat enough of? Is there 2 or 3 things that you go, people are missing the boat, this is
I think
delicious?
cabbage.
Okay.
Oh, I love cabbage.
I think that cabbage is one of the most versatile things, whether it be like charred or roasted or raw or boiled or steamed. Like, there's so many different, versatile things that you can do with it. Like a charred cabbage salad with like nakmam and peanuts and herbs and onion is like one of the greatest salads ever.
I'll say this: I was at Georgia James recently, and I had the cabbage.
Yeah,
it's freaking awesome, man. It's
great.
I was so happy to see it on the menu too. I was like, "Oh, I love cabbage. This is awesome."
Yeah, I think the lonely cabbage is what people kind of overlook.
Okay.
I also don't like potatoes.
You don't like
I
potatoes.
don't.
Okay.
Man, my
I think
wife.
a baked potato might just be disgusting.
Plain baked potato.
Yeah, why
just
the hell would
butter.
you eat it? Why would
Yeah,
you-
I don't
you
disagree
eat
with
it?
that.
French
Butter.
fries.
It's
dude,
a veal.
you're out on
But
that?
not all fries are great, right?
No- no.
My wife will definitely say that all fries are delicious, and I cannot get behind that statement.
No, I've had some pretty terrible fries.
Yeah, I mean, even like, when we worked for 10 years on making the Hay Merchant fries to be what I thought were perfect, and then we got some to go from Hay Merchant one day. It was during pandemic, and we get them home, and I open up the box, and like they're just soggy. And I was like, "You want me to toss these in the oven?" She's like, "These are the way the fries should be."
Really?
Oh no.
And I was like, "Excuse me?"
Uh-uh.
And she's like, "Yeah, you need to tell the guys to not do what they were doing." I was like, "So wait, you want me to go in and tell the team that's been doing it this way for 10 years to make them shitty?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "No.
Oh, what?
What are you even talking about?"
I mean, but let's be real. If onion rings are an option,
I like a good onion ring.
I'll go onion ring.
I will go an onion ring. Even the chopped and formed ones are still pretty good.
Yeah, not bad. Actually, not bad.
What
Yeah,
kind of,
this is a
you do
crunch.
a beer batter, you do a rice flour? What do you like on an onion ring?
I don't make them because we did when we first opened a Hay
Okay.
Merchant, and I realized how much of a waste of an onion it is.
Okay.
Because, I mean, you can only get, like, a good fat onion ring. There's
Yeah.
only, like, 3,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
4 in an onion, unless you're making, like, French onion dip or French onion soup or some kind of soup, then, like, you're really just cutting onions to waste them. And so, but I like a good, just spicy breaded onion. But even, like, they're doing one at GJ where they're shaving it and doing, like, a masala spiced onion.
Oh,
Great.
Hell yeah, love it.
Does Asian food, is that cuisine some of your favorite? I mean, obviously you use a lot of that with
It is. I think that we're set into a city. When you start talking about Asian cuisine, I mean, you can go all over the place with it, right? 'Cause
Sure.
Asian proper is just massive. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that it defines our city.
Sure.
And I think that it really is who we are as Houstonians. And whether I want to go out and get a whole, Dungeness crab with tamarind sauce on it, or if I want to get Vietnamese style crawfish, or if I want to go get, tikka masala or whatever it may be, like, or biryani, like that all sounds really good to me.
Yeah.
Right?
And you got so many good options here.
There's so much of it here, and it's just a beautiful wealth of like knowledge and food and love in the city that really makes me happy.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite foods, Asian food. I mean, and I say Asian because across the board, like you, I like it all. There's not one that I tend to lean towards, but
well, my wife and I really, it's like something we both share. Love Indian food, so we definitely like really enjoy curry.
Yeah.
Like that's just something we're definitely all over. But all Asia in general.
Yeah,
but.
I love that my wife and I's London Sizzler order is the same for 2 people as it is for 6.
Yeah.
I mean, it is legitimately the same thing.
yeah.
There's not one thing that's different, and I'm always like, well, I mean, that's what we would get, And like if another person's going, it's like, this is so much. It's like, I mean, this is what we would normally order. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I have that same problem too. Like, so I discovered this new place where they, it's not necessarily Indian, but momos, like the I guess Indian influenced dumpling.
Yeah, it's a Tibetan thing. Nepalese.
Anyway, you go to this place and you're like, well, I want momos, and then I want palo paneer, and I want this, and I want that, and then we end up like with $150 worth of to-go food, and we're just like, well, we may have overordered, but
you did it right. That's how I call it. Like, you did it right.
And we always, and we do this with you guys sometimes, but you take a group and you order family style with the Asian dishes, and you just kind of get to taste everything, which is a lot of fun.
It's the only way to do it.
Absolutely.
If you order your own dish, just be very clear. I'm still going to eat off your plate.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm fine with that.
And quite frankly, if you say no, well, that will be the last time we do that.
Well, should a Lazy Susan just be standard equipment in everybody's household?
I think so.
A big one.
Yeah.
You can fill it up.
We've talked about it here.
That's awesome.
Having a new backyard table, but putting a Lazy Susan on it, because I don't think I ever cook anything that's plated.
No, everything's just platter.
Yep.
Dig in.
I like that. I mean, that's the way I roll. I mean, I'm from Alabama, so yeah, that's the way we roll too.
Yeah.
Question for you: when you were growing up, is there a meal that you remember that you just absolutely enjoyed? Whether it was a holiday, a specific thing that mom or grandma made, or
something
just a
nostalgic,
weekly
maybe?
meal, or
It was my mom's lasagna for sure.
Oh, that's cool.
Lasagna night at the house was special, but then she'd also do like just beans with like chunks of sausage in it. Just delicious, And we grew up. My parents always had like a quarter or half a cow in the freezer.
really?
Yeah, because it was like me and all my buddies. So my parents were always like, "Well, we're feeding the neighborhood. Here we go." So it was like there was always that out in the freezer, and so lots of grind.
Yeah.
So lots of lasagna, lots of burgers, things like that. It's not like I didn't think ribs were delicious because I was like, chicken wings, no. Now
Are we talking pork or are we talking beef ribs? Both.
Well, beef ribs were more of a braised thing and then pulled.
Okay.
I never did like barbecue stuff. I mean, we're talking like the early 80s.
Yeah.
Bronto ribs weren't a thing on that.
No. They were giving them away at that time, Like,
pork ribs were pretty cheap too.
yeah, so were chicken wings.
So were brisket.
Yeah, all that stuff. So.
79 cents a pound.
Yeah.
The long were the days.
Yeah.
Miss those days.
Oh, yeah.
So, I it was just like, I grew up with just like family dinners and things like that, and so that's really got me what I needed to do and what I wanted to do.
And I love to cook. I mean, I call myself a home cook. I cook quite a bit, but I do it because I love that it's the vehicle that gets me to invite people to come over and have some wine and some food and some drinks. And that's what I enjoy more than anything is when I make something to be able to share it with somebody else. And I'm assuming that's kind of part of the passion for you.
I mean, you saw all the stuff out in the backyard.
I like that pizza oven.
That's new. Yeah, that's new.
I got one in the backyard. I love the pizza oven. But I also want to later on talk to you. I'll let you answer the question, but I want to talk to you about that live fire cooking too. I'm interested in that.
Oh, what do they call that thing?
The asado, isn't it?
Yeah, the asado. Yeah. I just used it the other night. It was great. It's my neighbors hate it.
It smells so delicious over
Well, it's either because if I start that thing, I'm also starting the smoker.
here. Oh, yeah.
And so it's like, if I'm going to have it now, I'm just going to have everything on fire.
Yep.
And they just have to deal with it.
Yeah.
That's what happens. You put a townhouse behind here, that's what you're going to get.
Yep. My wife, I used to have a pit on a trailer, and she made me get rid of it because if I cooked on the weekend, I rolled it out front and loaded that bad boy up, and everybody in the neighborhood would just come over for Saturday.
Why would you not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
it's hard to finish a brisket by yourself. I've done it over a matter of days, but that why not?
Yeah, having that Franklin smoker out there is awesome, but I don't think that I'll ever cook a brisket on it.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you cook your brisket?
Well, I just won't. We don't.
Oh, okay.
I'd rather just go eat one.
Oh, well, okay. That
Right,
makes
because
sense.
like my wife is in the firm camp of I'll just eat all the sides.
Huh?
Oh.
So if I if I do ribs or whatever, she's gonna eat one rib.
Oh, really?
If,
Okay,
if I smoke a chicken, it's like one slice of chicken, and she's gonna eat like the coleslaw and this and that. Make the beans. Because the funniest thing is like, Erin's a good friend of ours, and she's like, "Yeah, I know you're really good at the smoked meat things, but your briskets or your beans are the best."
Okay. I haven't been to his place. I've been wanting to go over there and try that.
It's great. She just
Me too.
They don't eat that. And then like even at Fegis, who's one of her clients, that's her favorite is all the sides.
Well, and we've had the conversation that there's some great barbecue in town for sure, and around the Texas region for that matter.
Obviously, yeah.
But we always say sides kind of are that trump kind of.
It's got to be you got to make that stuff good.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's what separates like old school barbecue places is they still have like lame ass sides.
So what are your 3 to 4 sides that if you're a quality barbecue joint, you better have?
A good bean.
Yeah.
Right. Not just like shitty baked beans, but like a good one. Tater tot casserole is always up there.
But that's a potato.
But the tater tots are outside of the rules of engagement
Okay.
because the tater tot is the greatest potato ever.
I do love some tater tots.
And this is where my wife disagrees. She's like, I don't like tater tots. I was like, how? Well, you what? Like, you'll eat the worst fries. You'll eat bad mashed potatoes. You'll eat good mashed potatoes too, but the tater tot is kind of off limits for you. And she's like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's more of just like me and the avocado thing. She's going to argue about it.
Yeah.
She didn't like avocado either, though, so it's a win-win. Let's see, tater tot casserole, beans. I'm not a big mac and cheese person.
How important is coleslaw? To me, it's not. So I've had this conversation.
I think it is. I think it is very important,
Okay.
but it's also people don't think it's very important.
Okay.
And so it gets kind of like just pushed to the side and be like,
I think it's.
I'm going to
important-
get it because I think I have to, but it's still going to suck.
Yeah, that's kind of. I think you got to have it, but I don't think I've not been to a place really that it's been a game changer for me.
And see, I have, and to me, like the coleslaw with like the vinegar, it just goes really well with any kind of smoked meats if it's done right.
So you're vinegar, not mayo.
Depends on what it is.
Okay.
Right.
Well,
we're talking Carolina slaw,
Yeah.
where it's more
Vinegar.
like chopped and kind of just pulsed, and then like vinegar and a little bit of like, I think Sam Jones has got like blue plate mayonnaise in it, and a ton of MSG. Like
Delicious.
That's
Like-
awesome.
Like the best thing ever invented.
But it goes right for what it's supposed to be with, right? It's supposed to go on that pulled pork sandwich, and it's delicious.
And I love that's how I eat slaw if I'm having a pulled pork sandwich. So if I'm not having that sandwich, then slaw becomes kind of less important to me.
Yeah, so I mean, for barbecue, like for me, it's like, give me I like one slice of one part of the certain point on the brisket. That's it. And it's traditionally what they're like, oh, that's what we use for the burn ends. I'm like, yeah, I know. That's the one I want.
That's smart.
the only slice. I don't want any other stuff. Don't give me the lean. Don't give me the super fatty. Right as you turn the fatty, boom, right on the corner. That's all I want. And like, fortunately, like the Gatlins know that's the only piece I like. So at least this is what you want.
Ah.
Here. Like, thank you very much. That's very nice.
Actually, there are restaurants where we had our rehearsal dinner.
Yeah, they're great people.
Really nice guys.
They're great people. And then I'm a turkey sausage guy.
Turkey sausage.
Yeah, I want turkey, and I want sausage, and I want one rib.
Okay, not a turkey sausage.
Oh, hell no.
You had me there. I was going, okay.
Are you a chicken apple? This interview is over.
I'm like, I'm not going to judge you, Chris. You like what you like.
Yeah.
I would judge me if I said that.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that we have been to a couple places recently, and I have absolutely fallen in love with the smoked turkey breast.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's something people miss.
Very much
when they
overlooked.
go. They just overlook it and go, I'm not getting turkey.
Truth does a
you're-
great job with theirs.
Yeah.
Regis does a great job with theirs. Gallons does a great job with theirs. Yeah. That's kind of that's my jam.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it just, it kind of breaks it up. I mean, you can go like if you just do like brisket, it's like a lot,
How are you going to eat 2 slices of brisket?
Yeah.
It's not possible.
You just
I
end
mean,
up,
you can, but your gut later. Oh my god!
yeah.
Like, 1 slice of brisket's enough.
Yeah.
I agree. They should really have like a 3-meat plate, like as a standard, where you could get, a nice, reasonable portion of everything.
Yeah, I mean,
Or you just get it and share.
Well,
Back to that
that's-
sharing
There's
kind of
that
thing.
too.
it's always good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, okay. So I did, and this is going back to the childhood thing.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, I went to Georgia James. Great, steak was perfect. Awesome, loved it. The steakhouse helper,
Yeah,
dude,
Yeah, you talked about this.
game changer. Like that was amazing.
yeah. That's a. I mean, that's an old underbelly move. At one point when we first opened, I think people didn't understand the city as much, and so it was like we were really, really trying to show people, the cultures and the food and things like that. But you needed to have like a safety item, right?
Yeah.
I think if you go to most restaurants, there's like a safety item. Where it's like, don't feel comfortable, pull, got it. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, you found it. I think we talked about it. I talked about it with Jorge from Kata, and it was like, that's your lobster mac and cheese. And he's like, yes.
Yeah.
All right. That's for everybody, right? And so we needed that something for everybody kind of dish. And
Well, you won.
yeah, we did it with lamb, and we called it Lamb Burger Helper. And I never got sued for it, which is really amazing.
That's awesome. That cease and desist.
You got plenty of cease and desist. I got 2 so far, but I thought Lamb Burger Helper would be the 3rd, but
Is that leg of lamb that you use for that?
I mean, it was just like when we get our carcasses and we just
Oh,
grind.
okay. Very
Nice.
cool.
It was just trim, and so now it's like what do they call it, steakhouse helper,
Yes.
right? And so it's like all of the the Wagyu end cuts and the ribeye pieces and the strip pieces and the dry age, and they just right through it.
Man.
Oh yeah.
That's what it becomes.
There's a
You were a fan.
Oh yeah. Big set. But to me that's like comfort food.
Little known fact: we went and bought every hamburger helper
I was waiting for it.
from the Kroger,
Uh-huh.
Disco Kroger, that's not there anymore,
Yeah.
and they all taste the same. Whether it's cheeseburger, hamburger helper, double cheese hamburger helper, double bacon cheeseburger hamburger helper, it's all the same shit.
Really?
It's all the same.
Yeah. I haven't
Every
had
one
that
of them, and I was like, this is disgusting. We can do way better than this. I mean, we tried, I think, two or three different packs, and it was like, we're good here. No more. And so it was like, we'll just make our own, and we'll figure. I mean, but that was the inspiration behind it, was like, really like, what is the seasoning blend behind it? It's going to bring people into, because that was a big thing for us, because it's like, we're asking people to, like, eat Korean braised goat and dumplings, and
Which is
you know,
delicious.
yeah, and like fish sauce, caramelized fish sauce, vegetables, and like chaka, and like people, and so we needed that thing that like instantly take you back, and I think that every restaurant should have some version of an instantly take you back moment.
And that's definitely one. I can't remember the flavors of it, but when you say, I can think back to eating that a lot, hamburger helper, but I don't remember what it tastes like.
We all
So
grew
I'm
up
curious.
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
was
I
like
grew up
a-
with it. I
it
mean,
was-
that was a staple at our house.
Yeah,
Tuna
Sunday night
helper.
dinner.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But yeah, we ate that shit.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, you think about though, like I've done this before, going like, man, like for some reason I remember being really excited in the morning when I got a Pop-Tart. Like like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Have you gone back and tried one of those? They're terrible.
No. Have you gone back and tried a carnation breakfast drink?
Oh, that's terrible.
I mean, that was like life.
Yeah.
That was shake that with the milk on your way to school. Like, this is going to get me by for 4 hours. No, man, you just got a sugar rush and it's killing you.
That's a good point.
Terrible. Terrible
Just
stuff,
terrible.
man.
Have you had malto meal lately?
No.
Really?
That's not bad. We did it in Preserve one night.
I was just going to ask, how much do you put on top of that?
Oh yeah, always.
I mean, it's porridge
The
in essence,
meal
right?
is suddenly light tan.
Yeah. Yeah.
God.
So with your creativity and trying to think of new things, you're always coming up with some cool stuff. Do you think back? That's an example of thinking back to nostalgia a little bit.
Yeah, you have to.
Do you think back and are trying to continue to come? I think about like I used to love the Salisbury steak or steak Diane or something like that that you don't see much anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you always have to be thinking of the past, or you'll never understand your future. So,
Yeah.
and I think that's how our lives have always run. Like, if you don't understand the past, how can you base anything,
Sure.
right? And so, I mean, cooking that way is very intuitive for me. And I still make a lot of old school dishes that I'm like, let's just try and see if this is good. It was when I was a kid. No, this sucks. But
I've done that here recently.
So another question I had is, you obviously got restaurants, you've got a lot going on. Is there a dish that you cook for guests, or a dish that you cook at home that you don't put on any menu? It's kind of your little sleeper dish.
I mean, we had Japanese curry for lunch.
Nice.
Japanese curry.
Oh, it's so good.
Is it really?
Oh, so good. I used to. One of my good friends in high school, his mom was from Japan, and we'd always hang out at his house, and there was a big pot going, and it was awesome.
What's the protein with that?
We had scrambled eggs with it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, over brown rice. It's like one of my favorite dishes of all time.
I've never had it.
It's like, because like growing up, like when I was talking about like my first job, my boss was always like, "Hey, don't eat the fish, man." And it's like, yeah, I get that. He's like, "Don't eat the fake crab either." I was like, "Damn it!" So he was like, "But you can always, always eggs are always wide open. Have that for staff meal, and Japanese curry is always wide open, and like, certain things, chicken and whatever." But once I found a niche for Japanese curry, I was like, I mean, the rest of the guys and the kids were like, "Would you just stop with that?" I mean, no, I'm not going to. So I always have it here.
You bring up eggs, and it's one of my favorite things to cook with.
Yeah.
Obviously, most people go to breakfast. We recently did a show on our top 5 breakfasts, and obviously eggs is a big part of that. How much do you enjoy? Obviously you cook lunches and dinners and things like that, but how big part is breakfast and what you can
In
do
our
with
household?
that? Yeah.
I mean, my wife's weird.
So
Some days she's just like, no, I'm just gonna wait for lunch. But some days she's like, I want an omelet. And I like making eggs for her, and we do eat a lot of eggs. But as far as like breakfast, there's not a day where I'm like biscuits and sausage. And like it doesn't happen. If we want that, we just go to Hot Bagel Shop,
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
and that's kind of our go-to. Like, that's probably what we'll do this weekend.
Yeah.
So I love Hot Bagel Shop, and their lox cream
The
cheese.
spread, yeah.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Like that on an everything bagel. So money.
But like for us, like I'm not gonna go get like waffles and pancakes and like I know there's a market for like overly sugary breakfast stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just gross.
That's not us either.
Yeah.
We talked about that as well.
I had no sweet items on my top 5
Yeah,
breakfast.
neither did we.
Not
No,
one.
I can't think of one. Like
And it was more that indulging, because I don't eat a big breakfast every day. It's that, once or twice a month, the family wants to have a big breakfast on a Saturday morning, and so what do we cook? And
I mean, I'll make a scrambled egg for us, and that's about it.
Okay.
Or an omelet, or or something. But very rarely is it like Sunday morning. Let's make this. No, I just like
How about coffee?
every morning.
Okay, last year or so, I mean, I've taken the, you talk about getting into whiskey as a hobby or wine as a hobby. I'm kind of gotten that way with coffee. I absolutely enjoy exploring the world of coffee, the different grinds, the single origins, things like that.
Yeah, I just forget what they are.
Yeah.
I just like find somebody where you like how they do their coffee and buy it from them. And I think blacksmith is our thing. Like we just always. I walk in, I'm like, which one do I get? And they're like, get the one from Sri Lanka or the one from this. And I'm like, just tell me, man. Like,
Yeah.
like you're home, you're not making espressos. This is the one you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I've only got enough space in my brain.
Yeah.
And if I get into coffee, then
You're done.
I'm
Your brain
some of the
hurts.
other stuff is gonna start fading away.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my wife is like ritualistic, and the coffee needs to be made.
Oh,
She
absolutely.
needs to hear the ee of the
And smell
grinder and the
yeah,
smell.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Soothing.
it's a definite thing.
Yeah.
And if we don't, but I also understand myself well enough that I only go coffee to a certain point. Because if I get over caffeinated, Victoria's looking at me. She's like, So Victoria, we've been working together for like 11 years, and so I used to walk into the restaurant with like a quart of iced coffee, and she'd just go, nope. And just like, because I'm
What
like,
kind of look did you give her when
like,
she
what are you
was-
talking about? And she's like, nope, nope, nope. And I was like, yeah, okay, you're right. Because once I get that juiced up, I'm like, and no, everyone's like, what the hell is he talking about? I'm like, so,
Oh man. So we talked a little bit about whiskey. Oh well, specifically bourbon. I think.
yeah, I don't drink anything else really.
Yeah. Well, you're
I mean, as
home.
far as
Kinda,
whiskey.
we're kind of in the same group there.
Yeah, I venture into
I'm
rye
trying
a little
to,
bit.
yeah.
Those kind of things.
I like rye.
Good in a cocktail. But yeah. So you've got quite the collection. We kind of took a look at it. What got you into it?
It was when I started traveling more, especially in the South and doing a lot of events with chefs. You can't just. I mean, I'm like vodka cranberry, and they're like, "What the fuck?" No, dude. And so I was like, "Well, if I'm going to do this, I need to understand more about it and like understand that like this is the one thing that is truly our country, right? And it's the spirit of choice, and historically, in the United States of America, and it's to me, it's something where you can taste history and you can taste the past, and you can't taste that with anything else, right? You could find wine, but that's not from here, right?
Yeah.
You're not getting something from the early 1900s or even in the 30s or 40s. I mean, you could probably find something out of California, but I mean, I don't know how well that would
Hold up.
Yeah.
hold up, because it wasn't made for that.
Right.
Not until the 70s was it made for that. And so I think that this is something that has an up and down history, and it's got a cool history, but it's something that you could go back and you can sit and you can be like, this is Americana.
Oh yeah.
Right, this is who we are, and I know a lot of people are like, you like sweet things, you should just drink scotch, and I was like, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I don't need to drink a Band-Aid. I don't need this. Like, there's a lot of things, but also mainly as I just don't need to find another thing that I can collect,
Yeah.
because it would be pretty troublesome, I think, in my family. She's like, you already collect knives, you collect cookbooks, you collect cooking things, you collect whiskey, you collect wine. Like, where do I put scotch?
Yeah, that's we had a guy on the show, and I loved his terminology, extreme hobbyist.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That I consider myself that.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
So I want to ask you when you talk about the city of Houston.
Yeah.
When we travel, we go to places. I always talk to people about food and things, and they have no idea, one, of the diversity of our city, and we kind of touched on that a little bit about what's available as far as food, but how good the food scene here is in Houston.
Yeah, it's great.
And how do you feel like that ranks? I mean, do you think, maybe I'm missing it, do you think it gets the love and the notoriety it should get?
I mean, there's different levels of that, right? And I think that people will judge cities on certain things. And do we have all of the high-end tasting menu-only restaurants that are 3 months in advance to get in that are in some parts of the country, like New York, right? They've got the high-end dining nailed.
Yeah.
And they've got low-end dining, but it's that middle tier, the mom and pop, the everydays that, you know what, I would say that our Vietnamese food here is better than anywhere in the country. I would say that our Salvadorian food, our Mexican food, is better than anywhere else in the country. Indian, Chinese, I think that we don't have a giant Japanese culture, so that doesn't really, there's a small percentage of that. But I think what we do have, I think what Jorge's doing at Kata is some of the best I've ever had. And having had that style of cuisine everywhere, I come back and I'm like, it's still better here. I think that just the everyday food that you can be very approachable with is done and executed well here.
Yeah.
And so yes, I do think that, we have one of the best food scenes out there, hands down.
Just a quick follow-up. Your chef friends that come in from out of town.
No, they love it here.
Okay, that was going to be my question. I mean, the general public might not realize, but I think when your chef friends come in, they've got to be like, this is pretty good food here.
I mean, they're like, wait, we're going to go get a king crab tonight? I'm like, yeah. Like, yes. And so it's like, or you take them over to El Hidalguense on Long Point, and it's like, yeah, that's spit roasting goat over live fire right there. Like, how did they? Wait, what? Yeah, man. And it's right next to this pretty cool Thai place. It's right down the street from a Honduran place. We're going to get into Koreatown too. Like, and so I think that my chef friends are always like, "Where are we going to go eat?" It's just like, what are we going to do?
No wonder they all say yes to coming when you invite them.
Yeah.
And I found this. I travel a lot for work and things like that, and there are times, and I think in every city there are restaurants. There's some restaurant that's really good, but a lot of the time when I'm dining out in other cities, I'm highly disappointed.
You're just bored.
Yeah,
it can be boring.
Yeah,
and I think we spend a lot of time looking at menus before we go out to eat. And I'm like, we'll be driving in the car or whatever. I'm like, all right, Lindsay, read me the menus from there. And she's like telling me, and I'm just like, no, no. Boring. And then there'll be like one thing on there, like, maybe I could do that, but
that's got to be tough for you though, to kind of trigger something with you to go, okay, you piqued my interest.
But that's the way with most bourbon selections at a restaurant too.
Yeah,
or
that's
a bar.
true. Yeah, you're
boring.
right.
It's boring.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. What's sad on the bourbon side is like, I hate knowing as much as I know about it because it's a detriment. Like I'll go into a restaurant and I feel. I mean, like a waiter will come up and try and offer me something, and they're doing their job, and I love that. But sometimes I'm just like, just give me a minute to look at this.
There's always room for a Negroni.
Yes,
right? That's the fallback. Wineless sucks Negroni, bourbonless sucks Negroni. So it's like
I always get like Manhattan's like one of my favorite drinks, and I okay. I don't like anything. I can get a Manhattan.
Yeah, because I can't do old fashions anymore.
Really?
Yeah, that's just
sugar.
Yeah, that's that pancake waffle scenario, absolutely, right? Yeah. For bourbon, and it's. I mean, there's no way you balance that out.
Yeah,
I agree. I find them too sweet, and it's just not for me.
And I used to be able to do it, but now I can't. I see. I work in restaurants. You see guys come in and they kick back like 6 old fashions. You're like, how's your diabetes right now? Like, I mean, are you sleeping tonight? Like, God, it's a lot, bro. And so I think that there's definitely a balance of bitter and sweet in life.
Oh yeah,
we find that a lot. And so Boulevardiers and Negronis.
Nice, great drinks. I mean, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have another question. People get into having restaurants. Do you? I think I know the answer, but or at least I think it's part of the answer. Keeping the passion and the excitement and is that kind of why you kind of have your method of doing things, where we are always innovating and changing and coming
things?
up and
I don't sit still well.
Yeah, okay. A friend of mine, we were talking about that, and I said, I have to think that's his way of just not getting in a rut, is to always think outside the box, coming up with at least part of it. Obviously, there's other reasons, the cultures in the city and things are changing, and you're trying to kind of keep up with things. Or I'm assuming.
Well, they say the Phoenix has got to rise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like it's you got to reinvent yourself all the time and keep going. I mean, there's a certain place for like just letting it happen, right? But that's lame.
No, I agree. So here's a question: is there a type of cuisine that you don't see represented in this city that you wish was? I mean, you kind of talked a little bit about Japan not being.
Yeah, I think Thai food, it's getting better, but there for a long time it was really missing, and I think a lot. We don't have a whole lot of European food.
Yeah,
right.
You're about to open up in the fall.
Or at some point, yeah.
Oh yeah,
At some point.
I thought you were going to say the Pandora's box of French cuisine that we were going to get into.
We can get to that in a second. Him and I have a ongoing, I'll call it a discussion.
Yeah.
But no, Italian food is something that, we have talked about in the city that, we don't see a lot of good joints. So I was excited that
There's a lot of Italian food here.
And that's a fair point.
Doesn't mean they're all good.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There's 3 or 4 or 5 that I can think of that I go, good place. Fiore, I don't know if you've been to Fiore or a couple other places that we go to. That
North Italia is pretty solid.
Yeah.
We went there for lunch, right? It was all right, yeah. It was good. It was good meatball.
Yeah.
So we're
That's a good
excited that
meatball.
you're going to do a little something with Italy. So
Yeah, it'll be fun, and I think we did that at 1/5 for a little bit at the beginning with Romance Languages, and I think that forever Italian food has just not been my
too heavy?
Nah, it's not that. It's not. How do you say it?
Can I say how you said it?
Yeah.
You said, my fingers don't do these little things.
Yeah, like making little tortellinis and things. It's like making mini tortellinis with bratwurst. You just smash. It doesn't work real well with my hands, like rolling pasta and things like that. So if other people can do it, that's great. But I also think that not all pastas are created equal, right? You can't
Totally
just
agree.
throw a bunch of stuff in a pot and this is going to be good. No, man, it's not.
Yeah.
It's just not. But what is classic? What is traditional? And those are the things that I truly I start to find. I think that the carbonara,
It's got to be guanciale.
it's got.
Well, yeah.
It's got to be guanciale, and there's no cream in it. There's no
Absolutely.
you put a pea in it, I'm going to kick you in the butt.
Yep. And
like,
use
why would-
Becca Romano.
Yeah, but it's the egg. It's the sourcing of the egg that is so important, and so when we did 1/5 Romance like that, so I went to Rome just to learn that dish, right? Just to teach me carbonara, and everywhere I had it, and talking to the teams and talking to the people, because once you go back to the same place over and over again, they're going to be like,
Yeah.
come on, man, what are you doing?
Yeah.
"Well, I want to learn." They're all right, this is how you do it. You render the guanciale, you throw that and some of the fat into a plastic bowl, like a Tupperware bowl, with the eggs, and then you put the black pepper in, and then the pasta is cooked, and then it goes in, and then you just toss, and emulsify it. But you're cooling that pasta down, right?
Yep.
But you're not curdling the eggs by putting it into a metal pan.
Right.
So you're doing a proper technique, but people are like, "Where's the peas? Why
I've
is
made
it not
yeah.
9,000 degrees hot?" Well, because if I had to melt the cheese and cook the eggs,
I mean,
that heat to cook the egg has to come from somewhere, man.
Yeah. And people should notice you didn't say anything about salt either. There's no salt in that dish.
Not really. No.
And favorite pasta with it? Mine's bucatini.
Well, there was only one pasta that I really liked, and it was from the region, and now I can't find it anymore. So I don't make it.
oh man, bummer.
I just don't make it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
But bucatini is a good move with it.
Yes.
yeah.
But you got to have that. Was it from there's a certain starts with a GRA, where the durum wheat is harder, and so that pasta is way better.
Okay.
That dish.
Yeah.
But they quit selling that brand. So.
Well, here's the thing. Nothing will kill that dish more than not having an al dente pasta.
It sucks.
I mean, if you overcook the crap out of that pasta, that is a terrible dish.
Yeah, it is. So that's why I like it when we go out and it's like carbonara. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not even gonna look at it. There's no way it's gonna be even close to being right. And so that's me,
Well,
right?
and I think people think Italian food, most people, I know you don't, Chef, But I know a lot of people think Italian food and go right to pasta, not remembering or knowing that the North
has so much raw seafood in Italy, and that's like the beauty of it,
and meats, great meats and risottos, and there's all kinds of stuff you can do. And I think just people focus on pasta and red sauce, and a lot of people don't even know tomatoes haven't been there for.
But that's the Italian American part of it when you start to get into that, and you start to understand and like where when immigrants came over, where they settled and what culture they took on when they did settle here. And I think we start to look at just talking, like sitting down with Johnny Caraba one day and listening to him talk about his story and his family's story and how they came in through Morgan City and ended up in Bryan College Station as sharecroppers and then opening up a deli and what have you, and like moving on. But like how him and the Mandolas came in through Galveston, and then the rest of their families came in through New Orleans. And so you started to see how the migration and what cultures come from that. Like, they're all from the Sicilian part, so like the Southerners stay in the South, right? Yeah. And then the fancy, he's like, Northern Italy, it's rich, so they kind of just went up to New York, So
Milan, New York,
So like, it's kind of cool to see that transition of where the migration took place, and I think that's a good story.
I have an appreciation for like Italian American cuisine. Now, I used to work for an Italian company, and they don't look too highly on Italian American cuisine. But I like traditional Italian. I actually really appreciate it. It's very simple, generally speaking. Love it. But there is something really good about Italian American cuisine.
Oh yeah, there is. It's cheesy as hell. It's delicious.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let me ask you this: lasagna, ricotta or bechamel?
Oh, ricotta.
Okay.
In my household.
Okay.
I mean, that's my mom. There's no bechamel. My mom wasn't making bechamel. She just ricotta,
2 tubs of ricotta and go.
mozzarella, parm, meats, black olives. There ain't no black olives in Italian. What are you doing, man? Sliced black olives. It's delicious. So.
A taco dip too.
Yeah, 100%. Big fan of the sliced black olive.
Yeah.
Well, let's finish up this episode with your question for Chris. Bring up the discussion. We'll see where he stands on this. And you've been wanting to call me out with him. Go ahead.
I have.
Do it.
Okay, so his argument is.
Well, let's start with yours.
Okay,
Don't
my argument is there are some amazing French dishes. We just are underrepresented in Houston and particularly in America when it comes to French cuisine.
Yeah.
We have techniques from France. We've studied a lot of those techniques, but there are great dishes, but we just don't see them much. So it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, there's like 6 French couples in the city of Houston. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
we just don't have that influx of the French culture here.
And his argument is French is just a technique, but Italian food is
not
my
just
favorite.
technique. I said they have great sauces, great technique, and pastries. They're king of the world. But I said my argument was if the food is that great, they're going to find a way here. People are going to do it if it's that popular. Whether it's Italian, Chinese, whatever, somebody's going to do a version of it, and you just don't see it.
You do. You may not know you do.
Okay.
Right? Because
Vietnamese.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, that's they have a lot of influence from the French.
The baguette, banh mi bocaux, like there's the pate. There's like so many different influences, and I think Nick Wong and team at Preserve they did a what if one week they did what if Vietnam ruled France. And went back and looked at it that way, and it was like, oh wow, that's way different. That is so cool. That to me was one of the coolest interpretations of a restaurant that I've ever seen. But I mean, you're talking about the technique is everywhere, right? And so
right.
Proper roasting, proper braising, proper everything. So without that, you're actually eating French cuisine.
No, okay.
Right? Are you getting a lot of coq au vin here? No, you know why? Because we don't eat old chickens.
Yeah,
that's just done. But in
it's a dish I like to make.
Yeah, but with a young chicken.
Young chicken,
right?
Not a cock.
Bouillabaisse and a lot of these things that are, duck confit and like proper game techniques and I think my wife and I for her birthday a couple years back she wanted to go to France, right? And I was like, kind of same way. Yeah, man, this is gonna suck. But it was actually, one of the coolest places I've ever been because just the aspect of food and the availability of killer things.
Well, and that's my point to Carter is there's no doubt French are huge in everything that we eat. Their influence is everywhere. Mm-hmm. But you just don't think about, if I ask somebody naming 5 Italian dishes, somebody can probably rattle that off, the average person. The average person's probably not going to rattle off 3 dishes in the French cuisine without some probably long thought.
We just haven't had that many, French immigration into the United States. There just hasn't been much of it.
I mean, I wouldn't leave there.
Yeah.
Like the French countryside, I would live there. Shit.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
And cheap wine that's delicious. I mean, come on.
But I think that one of the cooler things is like this place called Le Coq Rique, and in Paris, and there's one in New York too. But it was like, how old do you want your roasted chicken, right? Yeah. Do you want it to be 165 days? Do you want it to be 80 days? And like to have an understanding of like, I wanted to try an old bird. That shit was delicious. Roasted perfectly. It was one of the best things I've ever eaten. And it was a moment of happiness that I got. But you don't get to see that here.
Okay.
Right? Because we don't care about that. Certain things we don't care. Go to the grocery store, get chicken, put it in the oven. Done.
Yeah.
Fry it. Done.
Well, that's why people cook chicken, right? It's
done.
easy to cook.
Grill it.
Yeah.
Done. Right? And so I think that sometimes these products, and it's all about product awareness and product care, right? That the sourcing and you can't just go to Japan and order a watermelon because there's one guy is he's going to grow a watermelon in the size of this room, and every watermelon is going to be absolutely perfect, and it's going to be $400.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's the level of attention and care that's given to it, and we produce to produce.
Yeah.
Right? Producing for the masses, and some of these things just kind of get caught off and not as loved for. Right,
Makes sense.
It's a sense of feeding, not a sense of pleasure, right? And so I think there's a definite mentality that changes a little bit, but I don't argue either of your points, right? I just think that Italian food, we have attached onto that so hard, right? Because everyday Italian's really easy, boiling some pasta, getting some ingredients. That to us, like you said, is like. It's not always Italian, but like it is. But if you started like, oh, let's have tartare tonight, let's have carne crudo, you'd be like, wait, what are you talking about? Right? And so like, there's a lot of those things that are just technique driven and product sourcing that change things.
Yeah, and the technique part I think is absolutely fantastic. I
mean, without think about cheese.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
it would be
cheese is pretty important.
Craft singles all day long, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, hey, there's a place.
There is
Yeah.
on a burger, baby.
I was gonna say, or a breakfast sandwich.
Yeah.
Melts very
melts
nicely.
great.
Yeah.
That meltability of the 5% true dairy in there is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to bite the bullet and just go for
It's
it.
so well engineered.
Yeah.
It's like a Japanese watermelon.
Yeah. Oh man.
A lot of love and care. Is that what you're saying?
I think going to Japan and having strawberries was one of the coolest things. Like,
Really?
oh man, they're so good. They're so good.
Just good in the sense there's just more
Well,
flavor
there's no
in it.
land. There's not the land to be able to grow like we can here.
Yeah.
So everything has to be so precise. Like the gene of the strawberry has to be perfect. The watermelon has to be perfect. And like, when you go to the store, they're wrapped in packages, right? And like beautiful displays because they literally are. Like a cantaloupe's going to cost you $75 to $100. For a cantaloupe.
Is it really?
Yeah. But it is the best tasting thing you will ever eat. Like the honeydew is like the bastard child of like melons. It's
Sure.
It's like the filler.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about it.
Thank you. Cantaloupe is king.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Strong disapproval.
But very few times can you cut into a watermelon or a honeydew and be like, man, that's really good.
Yeah.
Right? And
I
very few
agree.
times. They go to that's like the quintessential hotel buffet. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Watermelon, pineapple, cantaloupe, extra honeydew, and everything else is gone, and the honeydew's just sitting there like, what'd I do? Because it doesn't taste like anything, and that's sad. So, but now you got the grocery stores with canary melons and all these different types of melons. It makes it a little bit easier. But
Yeah.
There you go.
I feel the same way, about like tomatoes. Like when I grow tomatoes and I eat a tomato, I go, that I've actually cared for and put attention toward it, it's a huge difference, right?
You're going to get 2, and they're going to be the best things you ever ate.
Yeah.
And
right.
you spend a good chunk of your life
doing
to
that.
get those 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, Chris, man, we had a great time talking to you. We appreciate you
Pleasure.
coming on the show today.
Absolutely.
Really had a good time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of Food, Wine, and Whiskey in Your Own Backyard. And until our next episode, enjoy your next pour.